You are the first female artist who does Sufi rock from Hunza, which is incredible. Was there like a challenge that you had to overcome as a woman in the Pakistani music industry, and how can, I guess, others overcome that?
Biggest challenge was my gender. I was the girl from Hunza and no girl ever stepped into the field of music. I was the first one, and I decided to take all the bashes so that later then when other girls want to come into this field, they can have me as an example that she's there, so I can also go, right? I can do it too.
What do you feel like is the biggest, most impactful lesson that you learned from this music?
I think the biggest lesson that I learned,
Like, if you didn't have that passion in you, if you didn't have that thought in you, what would have pushed you to start?
I was like, no, there's only one life and I'm not asking for anything unrealistic or bad. I know what I'm doing and I know I can carry myself gracefully in it.
What do you think is so unique about Coke Studio Pakistan itself?
I think Coke Studio is the true representative of Pakistani culture and Pakistani roots and different kinds of diversity that we have in our country. It's a full-fledged representation of that. I just got this line which goes like, तुम्हें दिल लगी भूल जानी पड़ेगी, मोहब्बत की राहों में आकर तो देखो.
It is an honor to be welcoming you. You are the first female artist who does Sufi rock from Hunza, which is incredible. So it is an honor to be welcoming Natasha Beg
Thank
to
you.
Karak with Mehreen. Thank you for being
so
here.
much for having me.
Of course.
Your show is amazing. I've heard a lot about it and I feel very lucky that I'm sitting here in front of you.
I'm glad. I've heard a lot about you. I mean, ever since I met Ashraf, all he talked about was you. So I was
Yeah.
very, very keen on having this episode, honestly.
I'm so glad this is happening and I love Ashraf Bhai.
Yes.
So, a huge shout out to him.
Huge shout out to him.
Yeah.
Could you tell me what is Sufi music?
Sufi music is about your connection with your creator. All right. And it could be anything and then it's about divinity, devotion, love. So I think it's a vast field. Sufi is a very complex thing. And I believe that I'm still, I'm still trying to figure it out myself while doing it.
Wow.
I won't say that I have a PhD in Sufi music, but even when I started my journey as a singer, I never imagined myself being in Sufi music.
Oh, wow.
Because I thought that it's so divine and it's so pure.
Yeah.
And I was not formally trained. So I was like, I mean, who am I to do? I can't do that. I mean, I should not even touch Sufi
it
music.
felt like this.
Yeah, it felt
different
very
world.
far-fetched, right? So, but then I don't know, some things happen in your life which are supposed to happen. I mean, there are things that you don't know, but life makes you do them. You're meant for it, maybe.
Yeah.
So initially I was in denial, and then, so I used to sing in English because I was highly inspired by Michael Jackson, especially. And then I at that time I was also watching Disney Channel shows. Yeah. So that was an influence on me as well.
Makes sense.
So gradually, so maybe because I have this texture, the texture that I have.
Yeah.
Maybe that goes well with the Sufi music. So so here enters my manager in my life. Okay? He's my friend.
Okay.
So I might use some few Urdu words
Of
because
course,
I can't
go
help
ahead.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just.
Mujhe bhi Urdu aati hai,
I know.
don't worry.
I mean, I'm trying not to, but then okay? The fillers are
please
coming
go
in
ahead,
Urdu.
Go ahead.
So what happens is that my friend, I used to consult him a lot.
Mm-hmm.
We met at work and I became friends with him, and then I used to tell him about my passion for music, and that was the new born passion at that time. I was like, I have to become a musician. I want to sing. I don't want to do anything. I don't know why am I doing this job, but I should be singing. So that was the
Wow.
point I was going through, and I used to discuss things with him. And
Did
then
he know about the music industry as well?
so you know what? He became a manager with me.
Oh, wow. So you both sort of started that journey together.
Exactly. But
Amazing.
he had that thing in him. And maybe I didn't know at that time, but my feeling was already there, that I trusted him, and I was like, you know what, you need to start managing me, and because I keep consulting you a lot.
There's a reason for that.
Yeah, you have a rich taste in music, way richer than me. I just know that I sing well, but there is no proper like a know-how regarding music. So I was like, he has a very good library in his mind for music. So I learned a lot of things from him, and then he was the one who actually pushed me into Sufi music. So I was into rock stuff because I was also highly inspired by Junoon, the band, the OG band from Pakistan, and the whole world knows about them, and they do Sufi rock. So at that point, whenever I used to watch Junoon, I used to go like, no girl is doing that on stage.
Wow. So that was the
Yeah,
wow,
and I
cool.
was like, I always had this very unconventional thought as a woman that I should not be doing. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, but I had that in my mind that I will not do everything that a girl a girl would do.
Yeah.
So I was like, I want to do everything opposite. Like, I want to be against men and stand neck to neck and, challenge them, something
I
like
love
that.
that.
I mean, that's the thrill, right? I have nothing
Yeah,
against
that's
men.
so
I love
cool.
men, okay? I mean,
No, of course, yeah.
yeah.
It's just that it's the
I respect them, but it's just that I
Definitely.
used to get the thrill because I'm on the neck to neck competition with a guy. I used to love that. So
so cool.
that was the reason I looked up to Junoon Band. And then my manager, he was like, I remember I was performing somewhere and I had this list of songs where I added some pop songs, some English songs, and then so I used to sing this Sufi medley, and he was like, he insisted me to put that in my list.
Okay.
I was like, okay, chalo, I'll see if people will be
So
interested.
you weren't actually.
I was not into that. I just didn't know that I was,
Interested, yeah.
I was able to deliver it or not. So I was like, fine, I'll see. So I started off my songs while I was performing, and the audience was listening. They were like, okay, but they're like walking around here and there. Then I did my second song, and they're like, okay, it was a festival. So too much was happening.
Got it.
But then when the third song started, the Sufi medley, the people who were like far, far away, they started gathering, and I could not believe my eyes. Like, I'm singing, and they're just, the crowd is increasing, and I was like, what is happening? And then when I got off stage, people started coming up to me, and they started saying, your riyaz is so good, and we can tell, that how much time you've put into this music, or riyaz. They kept saying your riyaz is so good.
What
Your
is
riyaz.
riyaz?
So riyaz is like the practice of music.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
So the training.
Okay.
Actually, and I'm not,
training.
and I'm not trained. So I was
Wow.
like, and I mean, at that point, I was like, yeah, I mean, training I should be doing, even if I don't have any teacher. Like we go to the gym. We work out without a trainer as well. So I might as well. I can do that
I can
too.
start doing that.
But
yeah.
I was maybe not doing that. So I felt a little embarrassed. I was like, oh my God, these people are saying that I've done a very good riyaz, that that I'm able to deliver this. So that was the point when I was like, maybe, that I just looked up in the sky and I was like, God, I think you have a reason.
Wow.
So maybe that's why then I started doing more Sufi music. I started discovering it, listening to more music, more of Abda Parveen stuff, which I was not, back in the days, I was not into much. But then I started understanding things, Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan Saab. And then, yeah, things changed, and I'm still learning. I'm still not, I mean, I won't say that, oh, I own this genre. I don't. I'm still a rookie. I'm on the daily basis, I'm learning new things. And whatever the things that I'm delivering on stage is something that comes naturally. That is not something that I make it up or I try to do it. It just happens naturally. And I just let it happen.
That's amazing. And the fact that, you're saying you're a beginner, you're a rookie, but you've done amazing. Like, I've listened to some of your work and it's beautiful. And what you were saying about initially you were talking about like you have that voice.
Yeah, the
You
texture.
yeah, I get what you're saying, because you do have that voice that just resonates, that just hits deep when you
Yeah,
listen to it.
yeah.
And when you listen, especially in this kind of a music, which
Exactly.
is Sufi music, it's a lot more deeper, it's a lot more like philosophical. There's so much texture is the perfect word. There's so much texture to
Exactly.
it,
And
right?
I think texture was the only thing which actually convinced me
Ah, okay.
and gave me that edge that, oh, okay, maybe I can become a singer. Because, you can't tell if you can sing good or bad, like by on your own,
Are
right?
you by yourself?
I
Yeah.
mean, there was an external force there were a lot of people who
Yeah.
pushed me into this, that, oh my God, you've got a good voice. And I used to be like, really? I don't think so. Because when I talk, I sound like a boy. And like in my childhood, I used to
You
hate
would
my voice. Yeah,
Oh,
I
really?
always wanted a shrill kind of a voice, a very
voice.
girly voice
Girly, yeah.
that I never had. But then I was like, the things that I'm thinking that it's my flaw, this can turn into a strength.
Wow.
And because not everyone has this kind of a texture,
Exactly.
said, then why not? I should really give it a try.
Yeah, and you
And
should
this is
take
how I.
That's beautiful. That's amazing. And whether you are religious or not, whether you believe in God or not,
Exactly.
when you listen to it, it moves you.
It
You still
moves you.
feel
Yeah,
something.
exactly.
So when you said that everyone has that, it's true. Like, for example, for me, when my father used to listen to Abda Parveen a lot in the car, and I would never understand what she's saying, but I would still feel something. Like, I would feel
Exactly.
like, wow, like she has, like it's, I don't know what it is, but there's some feeling,
Exactly.
So it does move you.
It does. And it's all about vibrations that you create. Because, I mean, music is a universal language, right? It's not bound to any language. And when the Sufi touch comes into it, I believe that those are the vibrations that are resonating with people. And even if you're not understanding it, you're feeling it. So it's beautiful. I mean, I can't express it in words, but so whenever I'm on stage and when I'm like performing, even sometimes I get a realization
That,
for
wow.
a second that what is happening. Yeah.
Like, you feel it as well.
I feel it too.
I mean, the music is so powerful. The
Exactly.
lyrics are so powerful, and I guess it's not even just the lyrics. It's I think the
It's
music in
everything.
itself.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's the whole composition.
It's the whole vibe.
Yeah,
It's the
exactly.
whole energy. So yeah.
And one thing that you mentioned was that when people used to put you on a pedestal and say that you need to like act
Look
in a
certain way, act certain way. Yeah.
Like, in what way? What do people associate Sufism
I think
with?
people associate with the physical appearance most of the time. That if a person says he's a Sufi, she's a Sufi person, they might look like a malang or a beggar or like like, or maybe in a very different kind of a clothing, which would look very different from the others, like which would stand out and which would look like very. I don't want to give any labels to it. It's just that, I mean, just look at me right now, the way I look. Nobody can tell that I do Sufi music, right? So my point is that I don't want to bound myself into any physical appearance.
I love that.
That's the point only. I mean, the others who have chosen such things, it's according to their liking. It's according to whatever they want. Nobody's trying to show off anything, but it's just that, yeah, people, and like when I say people try to put me on pedestal, I think not anymore, because I've given a lot of interviews where I've shown myself as a person that this is who I
This is
am.
me.
Yeah,
You
so
have to
I think
accept
now
it, yeah.
things have loosened up. But in my initial times, when the Coke Studio thing happened and when Shikwa Jawab Shikwa came, people didn't know me at all. But they saw the song, they saw me, so they might have created
An
some kind of
image.
image, right? And I was super scared because of that, because the image was so heavy that I had to like keep telling
Live up to
people,
that.
yeah, that I'm just a human being. I'm just a human being. Please don't treat me like that, because that felt like a lot of a big responsibility on me, because I also make mistakes. I can also say things that might not go well. I mean, I'm just a human.
Yeah.
So I want that loose end where people can give me a chance of understanding that, okay, she's just a human and she can also make mistakes, and yeah, she's also like us.
Yeah. And like,
Exactly.
that's the beauty of art. Like, I feel like art is not meant to be perfect.
Exactly. That's the point. Like, I actually get anxiety when people expect perfection from my side. And I go like, I don't think so. I'm anything but perfect, guys. I mean, who is?
Yeah.
So just don't make me go through that. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I
very
love that. I love that.
overwhelming.
And I love how you said that you don't want to kind of be associated or label yourself in a certain way. You don't want that kind of
Yeah,
box.
I mean, let things happen.
Yeah, it's a natural
Ha,
progression.
don't make me try too hard for things.
Yeah.
Because I'm not like that in life in general.
At all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
at all. So let things happen.
Because as a human being, as someone who is creative,
Exactly.
who has this creative energy, has a creative aura, bubble, all of that those creative
Yeah.
juices, you have to, you need an outlet for that.
Yeah.
And sometimes a certain outlet gets exhausted. Like you
Exactly.
don't want to keep doing the same thing.
And it can be a hit or a miss.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
fine. That's life.
That's the later thing that you're supposed to worry about.
Exactly.
So yeah.
The worst thing is if you didn't even do it.
Exactly.
And if it's still bugging you at the back of your head.
That's the worst part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one thing about speaking about Sufi music, and I know we're talking a lot about Sufi music just because
it's fine.
I feel like
I love it.
Okay, awesome. Because I genuinely want to know more about it. It's so interesting. It's so we've heard Sufi music, but we don't really know what it is. I feel like a lot of people who aren't in this industry, right? So you say that it's a connection to God, right? And so anyone has that in them. Anyone has. Where does inspiration for Sufi music generally come from? Because when I was reading online, people say it comes usually from poetry. It usually comes from, and I don't even know where Sufi music originated from, because I know Qawwali is
now I'm also wondering about
I was trying to find it, but there's very different like sources that explain this.
Yeah, I have to also think about it.
I think it's like Persian, probably, right?
Yeah, but we need to look it up. Yeah. Or else people will be like, what are these things?
Yeah, never mind.
But yeah, I mean, I'll tell you my perspective because I'm also a learner. I haven't like learned about Sufi music like that. But the inspirations that I get from is from the writing, the Sufi writing, Baba Bulle Shah, Rumi. So there are a lot of names like that. You read them and then you feel it. I mean, on top of my mind, I mean, there's this song coming which is तेरे इश्क में जो भी डूब गया उसे दुनिया की लहरों से डरना क्या. I mean, they're talking about the love that, the kind of love that, you're into and you don't care about anything. Like what kind of a love is that? I'm still, and you know what? Sometimes there comes a time when I do feel that intense about that love, but there's a time you don't feel it. But my point is that Sufi music or the Sufi thought is talking about the kind of divine love that you have. And you know what? There's one more thing in Sufi. You do love your creator, and then you love his creation as well. That is also Sufi.
So you also talk about...
Yeah. So if, there is a high possibility in Sufi music that you might see God in someone. But you're not doing shirk. It's his creation that you're loving. Because, if you love someone, you'll love everything about that person. Every single thing. It could be anything. Like, I've seen such cases where if someone is in love with someone, they'll even love their best friends a lot because they're friends with them, right? They'll be like, oh, you know what? I want to sit with you because you're friends with them. And so that if you connect it with the divine level, you'll understand that Sufi music is about loving the creator and the creation. So, people have... in Sufi music, there's a concept of murid and murshid, right? Okay. I don't know how to say this. The spiritual leader.
Okay.
The spiritual leader.
Yeah.
And people follow them like they're what they call it, disciples.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, disciples, right? So yeah, you have disciples. You have there's a spiritual leader and you have disciples. Why they're following them? Because the leader is the creation of your creator, and you see God through him.
Interesting.
He's the light. He's showing you he's showing you your creator in a way that nobody can show you.
He's showing you an example of the beauty that your
Yeah,
creator
exactly,
can do.
exactly.
The power of your creator.
Exactly. And these are and they are the ones who have written books, who have poetries about our creator, and then you resonate with it, and then these are the things which make you love your creator even more. I don't know if I'm able to explain
No,
it.
I completely get it.
Yeah.
But when you were explaining this, it made me think, because usually when I listen to such songs, it always seems like it's talking about love, right? Like loving a person.
Yeah.
But then I realized, no, this is Sufi music, so it's about the creator. But now you're saying that sometimes it's also about the creations.
It's about the creation. You know, the beauty of the Sufi poetry is that it's applicable on everyone.
That's the thing. Like,
your lover, your mother, your parents, your siblings, your friends, because they all are eventually the creation of our creators, right?
yeah.
So even if I sing Tere Ishq mein jo bhi doob gaya, duniya ki leheron se darna kya, so it's applicable to anyone.
Whoever you think
Yeah,
of. Yeah.
you never know I'm singing it for you. Right? So
I'm flattered.
So yeah, I mean, you know, these poetries, they're trying to teach you how to love.
Yeah. How to feel that emotion.
How to feel that emotion. And love is the only emotion that we need to have.
Yeah, I think even when I read Rumi quotes, like a lot of it is about the feeling of love and how it surpasses anything else.
Exactly. And you know what? It is like easier than said. Like, I mean,
yeah,
it might sound, it's very easy to say that, oh, you know, you should only love. I mean, on the daily basis, we go through a lot of emotions. We go through a lot of negative things.
Yeah.
Even me, when I drive, there's a point when I'm like, why don't you die? Something like that, you know? Like, these are the feelings that we get.
Rage,
Very
yeah.
extreme feelings, rage. But then there are times when I actually, when I'm understanding the whole thing, that, you know what, no, there comes a time, there are days when I feel it's all about love. And even if when I'm driving, and when I'm seeing someone and I'm being very angry, like, you know, I'm driving and there's rage, rage is about to come.
Yeah.
Then I realize, no, I mean, why do I have to be angry? Why do I have to curse this person? Just because I feel like that? So I'm entitled to curse that person? No. I should learn to let it go.
Let it go.
And, you know, it's a daily practice.
That's such a powerful exercise, but it's so difficult.
It's very difficult. And, you know, it's also, you can't be consistent.
Yeah.
That is all. I mean, there comes a day you will feel good,
yeah,
but there are days you won't feel a thing.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So it keeps varying. And this is why I told you that, you know, we are designed that way. We are humans, and we are actually designed to make mistakes and learn from our mistakes.
Yeah.
So I think that is why whenever I make any mistake, or if I'm ashamed of my own self, that what am I doing? What am I saying? What am I thinking? Then I try to give myself some benefit of doubt that, you know what, this is how we are designed.
This happens.
And also we need to, I think the first learning of Sufism is also forgiving your own self first. Then you'll be able to forgive others.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and when we talk about love, you know, you can't love anything if you don't love yourself, because everything comes from within you, right? So if you feel a lot of love for your own self, then that is the only time then you'll be able to express that love. And if you hate yourself, you'll project that. So there comes a time when I do feel, even about my own self, that if I'm hating on something, then I call out myself. I go like, you know what, this is not the problem. The problem is here.
Like maybe it's some area within
exactly
you
that
don't
whatever
realize.
hate that I'm having is just an excuse. The problem is here.
I feel like the beauty of Sufi music is that it pushes you to self-reflect.
Exactly.
It makes you not just think of, you know, love as, you know, you can think of love in a very superficial way as well, which is the usual way human beings think of love, like loving your partner, loving this person, that person. But it pushes you to think in a more deeper level. Think about it within yourself. Self-reflect in that sense. First of all, I love how we just I wanted to mention it, but because you were speaking, I didn't want to interrupt. But I love how you just sang so beautifully and gave us goosebumps,
No,
and then
really?
just went back to normal, like talking. Like
You
I
know,
was like, I don't know how she just did that.
no, I'll tell you. So, the thing that you just said, even I become really, sometimes I go like, how is this happening? Like when people say that you just sang and we felt it. So,
And then you just went back and started talking. Like I
but
was
trust
like,
me,
whoa.
trust me, I'm not trying to be any humble or anything, but I firmly believe that this is what God is making me do. I'm just a vessel, and He is the one who's making me do these things. And whenever people are, and sometimes I do feel like, what did I do to deserve this? Sometimes I feel that I'm maybe I'm not a good match or a perfect person for these things. But if something is happening through you, I try to embrace it, but I never try to forget that this is something coming
Through
from
God.
the above.
Yeah.
It's not me who's doing this. So whatever you feel is all because of the
Ah,
connection.
I feel like, do you think Sufi music also teaches you a lot of gratitude? Because that's
It
what I
does.
feel in the way
It
that you
does.
speak.
It definitely does, because there was a point I was ungrateful, and I think every one of us are like that. We don't realize it.
Mhm.
But then I think when you feel detached from your creator, you start seeing miracles
Mm.
where God is trying to tell you something, that I'm there, I'm there. So for me, my miracle was the voice that I got. And trust me, whenever I sing, and when people say, oh my God, we felt that, we felt like this, we feel like this when you sing, we got goosebumps, or I don't know what emotions they are going through when I'm singing. And I go like, really? Am I doing this? Then I go like, I think God, it's you who's doing that, and I'm just a vessel, and I don't know if I deserved it, but I'll
You
embrace it.
definitely
And
deserve it.
then these things really make me feel very grateful. That what would have happened if I never had this? So I'm always grateful to
That's
God
beautiful.
that He has given me that status in a society where I'm able to do something, and people are taking something good out of it.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
I'll be always grateful.
I mean, it's definitely you who's doing this as well. And
I
it's
still don't
through
believe it. I refuse to believe this. Yeah.
But I do love what you just said. I do believe that it's you. But in terms of, because I feel like a lot of when you speak, a lot of these learnings, I would say, probably comes, of course, from your upbringing, but also from Sufi music, from the music
Yeah.
that you sing, you listen to, you learn from. What do you feel like is the biggest, most impactful lesson that you learned from this music, or from something you read?
I think the biggest lesson that I learned are the two things: love and being grateful. Yeah, because these are the emotions that we don't carry on the daily basis.
Yeah.
But
We forget
Sufi,
about it. Yeah.
exactly, Sufi music has actually made me realize a lot of things. The writings that I've read, the writings that I've sang, have made me realize that even like holding any grudge against anyone is not worth it.
Mm.
Any kind of negativity is not worth it. Like the friends who might be watching me while saying these things, they will go like, what is she saying? We think she's the negative person all the time. We see her always, like venting things out. I do vent a lot, but my things are always only on the surface.
Surface,
I don't try to keep anything here,
inside.
because it really kills me. I think the hate, the negativity that you carry for others is actually not, people don't realize it, that it's not good for their own self, right?
Well-being. Yeah.
Well-being, yeah. So I mean, yeah, Sufi has actually taught me to ignore things, which I'm very, very bad at. But
It's a process.
yeah, it's a process that and you know what, the only thing that I've learned from Sufi music is calling myself out. Whenever I'm thinking anything, any negative thought, I will definitely call myself
Like
out.
keeping yourself accountable.
Exactly.
Which is lacking in this modern day world, I feel like.
I mean, everyone should. I mean, lately I was talking to a friend and I was like, so, the Gen Z has come up with a lot of different terms, right? Like pick me, and there were a lot of words like pick me, and then gaslighting, and tell me more of the words.
Skibidi. But
Skibidi,
that's like
and
Gen
the
Alpha,
no,
I
like,
think.
like the words that
People
they
actually
used to call
use.
out others,
Oh, okay.
like pick me,
Gaslighting.
and red flag, and whatever the words are.
Yeah.
You know,
Why
so
can't I think of that? Yeah.
so yeah, I mean these words, and I just realized that, you know, we have come up with words to call people out, but we are refusing to look for those things that are inside of us. I mean, we are also doing the same thing, but it's just that we are so much in denial. And trust me, I'm not saying this because, oh my god, look at me, I'm so pious and I'm such a nice person, I'm doing this. No, I did not mean it like that. I'm just trying to say that every one of us has a problem, but we should stop looking for problems in other people and look within you first.
And that's so true, because I feel like, especially in this modern day age,
Yeah.
where we're with social media and everyone has an opinion about everything.
Everyone, and things have become so toxic. Toxic is another word.
Yeah, toxic. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
so common
yeah,
now.
you saw
Like you're always trying to find toxicity in every situation,
Yeah,
in
I
other
mean-
people, but you forget to ask or think about yourself. Like, what are you doing?
Exactly.
Like, people have used the word entitlement.
Yeah,
so much.
There's another word. Yeah,
Entitlement, like anything that, you know, if you question someone for behaving in a certain way, their response would be that I'm entitled to do
entitled
that.
to do that.
No, you're not
Exactly.
entitled to do just
Exactly.
anything that you want. That's not what you know, we're meant to do in this life.
Yeah.
But people forget
People
that.
I mean, you know, our main motive of life is balance, and we are forgetting that everything in extreme is always harmful.
Yeah.
Like,
True.
I'll go with a very basic example that extremism is so bad for us, and we are not designed in a way. And even in Islam, Allah Mia talks about Miyana Ravi. So Miyana Ravi means balance. We are brought into this world to balance things, to balance deen dunya, to balance everything. If there's water in this glass, and if I drink it less, that is also extremism, and extremism, right? And then it might make me sick. My kidneys might go. My kidneys might fail. All right, but then if I'm drinking a lot of water, that is also a bad thing.
for
I
you.
mean, there has to be a balance in everything. So when you're put into this world, when you go through this portal, you're supposed to know what balance is, and this is where we lack, we all. And then we have to keep reminding ourselves that balance. Like in this society, the way society is going, and things are becoming very toxic, and the negativity is it's increasing, and people are not realizing that. I think people need to there's this term that I have recently discovered, where I'm saying that calling out your own self, the term for it is shadow work. We need to do shadow work.
So that's when you actually
Yeah, but that's when
keep
you
yourself
realize,
accountable.
and that's how you need to know that our job is to balance everything. Our job is to balance things, not try to see negativity in others and calling out people, and try to show, oh, look how amazing I am. I'm such a perfect person. There will be problems every single day, around you, inside you, everywhere. You just have to tackle it with a balance.
Yeah, because even when, for instance, I was starting to watch these videos about how we have to kind of learn to give other people the benefit of the doubt as well, because
Exactly.
sometimes, like, not everything is about you.
Not
Like,
everything is about
for instance,
you.
the waiter gave you the wrong food.
Yeah.
Maybe his something happened to his grandmother, so he's not feeling well.
Exactly.
Maybe the driver that he overtook you, maybe he's running to the hospital to meet someone. Like, you have to give people the benefit of the doubt, which is obviously hard to do
It
at
is very hard,
times.
indeed. I agree. It is very hard. I mean, it's right now it does feel like it might feel like that we are preaching, but it's not about that. It's about talking about the factors that what we can do,
Yeah, how can we improve?
how can we improve, and there will always come a time you will fail.
Yeah.
But life is all about keep trying, like keep
Yeah.
moving.
And like, don't forget
Don't
these
forget.
things.
You
Yeah.
will forget, but don't forget.
But don't
keep
try not
reminding.
to.
Yeah, keep reminding yourself. That's
Yeah.
the point. That this is what I try to tell my own self. And I do make a lot of mistakes. I mean, in spite of realizing a lot of good things, I still make mistakes. But this is how we are
Yeah.
designed. Yeah.
And one thing that you mentioned, so two of the biggest lessons, one was love and the other one was gratitude from
And the
Sufi
third one
music.
is balance.
And the third one is balance. So we got
Yeah.
3 lessons.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about the first one, which was love. And I want to talk about why do you think love is important? Why is there such a big importance given to love in Sufi music?
Because I think this is what our creator feels like for us. Because, try take our creator as an artist. He's an artist. And if an artist creates something, he'll always love his creation. If I'm making a song, if I'm writing a song, if I'm producing a song, you might not like it, he might not like it, but I'll keep listening to it. Okay, look, I made this, right? And if we are getting that feeling, that means that our creator has that feeling. And we have inherited that directly from our creator, right? So if he feels pure love, if he feels pure joy in his creation, so he wants us to feel that way.
Yeah.
I think. I don't know if I've put it in a because I have whatever I'm saying is according to my understanding.
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be right.
Definitely. Yeah.
But this is how I feel. I mean, when I perceive about God, I see him as an artist.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
And he has created the whole world, the whole galaxies that we haven't seen yet, but us, right? And then the creator says that we are his best creation. Can you imagine?
Wow.
He says that. I mean, we think that we are flawed, but
That's what the
he
creator
loves
said.
us.
That's beautiful. So that's kind of where that love comes from. you're saying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That love comes from. And I mean, there's still so many things to that we need to learn, and there are a lot of things that we need to know we don't know yet. I mean, life is still a mystery for us, but I think love can make us keep going, and love can make you understand things better.
Why do you say that?
Because if you have a lot of noise in your mind, how will you process things? But if you remove that noise, and the negative noise that I'm talking about, it could love's opposite is hate, right? If you have a lot of hate, you won't be able to process things properly. But once you feel love, you feel at peace.
Yeah, you feel calm.
Right? And I think in order to achieve peace, we need to know love.
And everyone wants peace. At the
Everyone
end of
is,
the
yeah.
day.
And I think, although we're very stupid that we're looking for peace, because peace is a myth in this world.
Oh, okay.
Because I think peace comes once you're gone out of this portal. I call it a portal. So, but fine, I said it that peace is myth, but we're trying to still achieve it, right?
Yeah, it's still that's
Yeah,
like the journey
that's the
of
struggle,
life.
right? Yeah, we're trying to achieve
That's
it.
the purpose.
And in order to achieve it, love has to be there.
Wow. I mean, that's the I think that's why when people talk about how can you achieve happiness, which
Happiness.
already is, I feel like, a wrong term to use, or how to achieve peace, you find all these kind of try to find these shortcuts, you try to find these
Yeah, and there's no
definitions,
shortcut.
but as you said, it's a funnel through love, I guess.
Exactly. You'll achieve peace through love.
And is there like a quote, maybe, or like a poetry, or like a song, like a line that really is one of your favorites? It could be from Rumi, it could be from Nusrat, whoever that you've really listened to.
I mean, there's a lot of it.
There must be a lot, of course.
I'm thinking.
But if you talk about love, maybe is there a specific one related to love?
Yeah, I don't know. On top of my mind, all of a sudden, when you ask that, I just got this. I just got this line, which goes like, "तुम्हें दिल लगी भूल जानी पड़ेगी, मोहब्बत की राहों में आकर तो देखो, तड़पने पे मेरे ना फिर तुम हंसोगे, कभी दिल किसी से लगा कर तो देखो. So मुझे बहुत
Wow.
पसंद है. I love this शायरी.
Can you break it down? Can you like explain it?
I think it's quite deep. So नुसरत साहब is saying कि तुम्हें दिल लगी भूल जानी पड़ेगी, कभी दिल किसी से लगा कर तो देखो. So he's someone who's in love, ठीक है, who has peace. But the world is not getting it. There are a lot of Sufi references where you will see that, there's this, on top of my mind, there's this story that pops up into my head. It's Mansoor al-Laj. Have you heard about it?
Yeah, I've heard.
Anal Haq ka
I've
nara,
only
right?
heard of it.
So nobody knows why he did that, right? But that in the process he got killed. But that was the ultimate stage of love that he reached, and we can't understand that because we haven't reached there yet. So whatever we don't agree to, we just try to finish it off, right?
True.
But now people talk about him. People try to understand his statement that he said. And I think that was the ultimate love. And this is what Dil Lagi song is also saying, because, the person is saying that I'm going through this and you don't know. So I wish that you also come in my position
And experience it.
and experience it. And then I'll ask you how it feels. And so yeah, it's quite deep. And sometimes when I talk about this, I do feel a bit like I'm talking a lot about it and I'm realizing it, but why am I not feeling it? Maybe I'm not there yet. But you never know. But I'm also scared of that feeling
Of being there.
Because it's the stage of it's the stage of madness. I mean,
Yeah,
you just go
it's
crazy,
overwhelming,
right? Yeah,
I
it's
feel.
overwhelming. It's
Yeah.
I mean, you forget your existence. Then you I think at such point, what happened to Buddha? He left his whole family, right? And then now there are the worldly things that you care about.
Yeah.
So you're afraid of that stage. But then I also feel like if it's meant to come, it will come. I will not force it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, I guess that's like your philosophy of life, which
Yeah,
is that
yeah.
don't force things.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
want to. I don't want to force things. I think things happen when they're supposed to happen.
Yeah.
So
I feel like because I've also studied Buddhism for a little bit, and there's a lot of wisdom in it, right?
Yeah.
There's so much wisdom in all religions that you can learn from, Buddhism specifically. And a lot of when you talk about Sufism and how it talks about self-reflection and the detachment from worldly matters, a lot of it is related to Buddhism in some way, right? Do you think there are overlaps?
There are. I mean, even Buddha was also a Sufi, right? Because
Okay.
I did read about him, but I faintly remember it. I have to reread it. So once I was reading a book and I actually faintly remember his initial journey, that he was the son of a king, right?
Yeah.
And I think the king had I don't know how to call that. He had a reading where someone told him where someone when you foresee things, right? So he
Oh,
asked someone, prediction. So somebody predicted about his son,
Yeah.
that that your son someone actually predicted that your son will become become this personality who will leave everything, and only he'll be like
On this path.
on this path, on this path where he'll just where things will be about only God.
Yeah.
And he never wanted that, of course, because it was his son and he wanted the whole kingdom to go by him. So he plans to like keep everything
Closed.
close in a wall and keep everything away from him. Like
Yeah.
he knows nothing. He only knows about the good things
Yeah,
about
and
the world, not the
kingdom
sad
and-
part, not the bad part. And then suddenly when he grows up, and because it was already predicted, so things are happening because
will
you didn't
happen.
force it.
Yeah.
Although the father forced
But it
to
still
stop
didn't
it, right?
doesn't
But it
work.
eventually happened. So when it started happening, he was married, he had kids. Buddha had kids. But the kind of curiosity he had, the kind of love that he was drawn to, it made him leave everything, and then he was in search of God.
Yeah.
And then he tried everything. He tried meditating, he tried starving himself, God knows what he did. And then gradually he started having disciples, and it was a very interesting book. Really need to reread it, but this is how it happened in his life. And so he was a Sufi, and all his teachings are Sufi thoughts.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that you like we would consider him Sufi, but that makes
I
sense.
don't know. Why wouldn't? I mean,
Yeah,
why
I
wouldn't
mean,
people
that
consider him?
exactly, that
Yeah, and
makes sense.
we just talked about it, that Sufi is not bound to any religion. Anybody can be Sufi, because Sufi is about love, and it's about your love towards your creator and the creator's creation.
True.
So you don't need a label for it.
So, do you think it's wrong when people associate it with Islam?
Well, that's a very touchy subject. And I think it depends on person to person, because I think I'll tell you my opinion, that I think in order to understand Islam, Sufi music have a big role in my life. Yeah, because I mean, I'm a very Islamic person. I believe in Islamic teachings firmly, but Sufi made me understand it even
Even
more.
more.
Yeah,
Wow.
more nicely, more because I think nobody wants to listen to anything, or if you want to preach something, you can't preach it with hate, right?
Right.
So Islam itself means peace, right? It's all about love and peace. So our religion should reflect that. And it does.
Yeah.
It does, right? And Sufi talks about love. So yeah, it goes hand in hand.
That's
I mean,
so
there might be
true.
a lot of people who might not agree to it, but I mean, we're only talking about all the good things, right? What's wrong with it?
How
Talking
would
about peace, talking about love. There's
and
nothing
that
wrong
is
with
what
it.
Islam does encourage as
Exactly.
well. It goes hand in hand. That's
Yeah.
And I feel like what you said about how you can be preaching, you can be people can preach from hate,
Yeah.
and that a lot of things you may know about Islam, you may know about any religion, not just
Yeah.
Islam. You may know about it, but you don't actually feel that connection.
Exactly.
A lot of people know that, okay, you should do this, you shouldn't do this, you should believe in this, you shouldn't believe in this, but they never feel anything. They don't
Yeah.
feel a connection. They just know that, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. But I feel
Exactly.
like in Sufi music, it encourages more of that feeling and that
Exactly.
connection.
Yeah. I think there are people who are following a certain path, but they don't know what they're doing.
They're not
They're just going by the
questioning
book,
anything. Yeah.
kind of a thing. But God wants some thrill from his creation, right? That's why he made us. I mean, he called us Ashraful Makhlukat, and he gave us this free will. And then now he's like, I'm giving you a free will. Now I'll see if you choose me or not. He wants the thrill. So we need to figure it out, and we need to be curious. It's always good to be curious.
And Islam encourages curiosity. It
Yes,
encourages you to
it
question
does.
it.
It
and
does.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful relationship with your creator. I mean, there are certain things that people try to, they try to bring some blocks between you and your creator by bringing all these by the book things, that they'll be like, oh, this is not how you talk to your God. This is not. I think anybody can talk to their creator by their own terms.
Yeah.
Because it's a very personal matter.
It's a private thing.
It's a private thing.
It's only between you and
exactly, God. Exactly. When people say these things about a married couple, right? That if there's a husband and there's a wife, and they have this relationship, and that should be also kept private. People say that the third person shouldn't come in between, because things might,
get ruined. Yeah.
get ruined. So why can't you understand that directly with your creator?
Wow.
I mean, yeah, you
Great
have.
point.
I mean, is it? I mean, the kind of bond that we have with other people, we can have that bond, and beyond that, we can have that with our creator, right? So it's a personal matter. Nobody should judge anyone for like however they're feeling about their creator, with their creator, whatever it is. But judging others and imposing things on people, that's not the right thing. I mean, people need to work on their own selves.
Yeah, I love how you made that analogy with marriage and relationships, because
Yeah.
it's true. We always say that any third person that comes in between will ultimately never solve whatever's going.
Maybe because
between you.
people still don't take their creator as their lover,
Yeah.
right? So I mean, for me, he's the nearest thing. For me, I mean, more than anyone. Sometimes I say this to my friends and they don't agree with me, and this is just a thought, and I'm not also right. But I do. I told this to my friend that people say that when we'll die, we'll reunite with our family, the ones that we've lost. But then I refuse to believe that. I believe that once I'm dead, and if I'm in my soul form, I would only want to go to my creator. Nothing will matter, because whatever the worldly things that I have, the relationships, the friendships, whatever I have, is because I have entered a certain portal. Once I'm out of this portal, I think
You've left that behind.
I've left that behind, and my soul would only want the creator. My soul will not be searching for my family members or my friends or even my pets. I don't know. I mean, this body is making me feel that way. I believe whatever the connections that I have is because I think we are two things, right? We're soul and then this body.
Yeah.
So the body is actually making us go through these emotions and all these connections. But I could be wrong, okay? This is my philosophy.
This is your, yeah.
Yeah, this is
perception
my
of it.
perception.
Yeah. And why do you say portal?
I don't know. I feel it's a portal. I mean, there's a boundary in my head. I mean, there's a boundary, then there's like the area of gods, whatever the sky, and then there's this some kind of portal in between. And I think when
And
we
you've
pass
entered it.
through it, when we've seen it in movies also,
Yeah.
in dramas
Like when
also,
you're
that when we
entering, yeah.
pass through a portal, then your memory becomes different. It
You become a
vanishes.
different,
You become a different entity.
yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I just keep calling it a portal. I don't know why.
I find that very interesting because I don't think I've ever reflected in that way, and I don't think I've ever even thought of it as deeply as the way you were expressing it to me.
Maybe I'm a thinker.
That's a great thing. I mean, that's why it's so great to have this
Yeah.
conversation, because I feel like already a lot of what you've talked about, it opens your mind to think, even if I don't agree with it.
Yeah,
even
I
if-
mean, it's
it
just
just opens your mind to think about it.
It's exciting
Yeah, it's exciting.
to think it that way. That's why I'm saying don't believe me, guys. Please, whatever I'm saying is according to my
To your-
understanding.
But that's why I find it so interesting to have this conversation, because a lot of what you've just said, I've never thought of it that way.
Oh, I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm happy that you like it.
And it's pushing me, even probably after this episode, it's pushing me to maybe think more deeply about
Wow.
one is connection to God, of course. But even connection to God that you've expressed it is so different, because for example, you've talked about God as a lover.
Yeah.
Like, I've never thought of it in specifically as that term. I don't really think about it like that. So yeah, I think there's a lot of different elements to this conversation that I feel like I can think more and more about,
I'm
which
so
is the
glad.
beauty of well, of course, you.
Yeah, the
and
beauty of this
Sufi music.
podcast is, right? I mean, and you're a very, very good interviewer, by the way. I mean, you ask such amazing questions that, before coming here, I was like, oh, I'll have the same questions that I've done before. I'll talk about the same things. And I now whenever people are calling me to an interview, I go like, oh, the same things that
Oh,
I'll
you're-
talk about.
Oh, that's
But
why you're like, oh,
This
Karak
turned
with
out very
Mehreen.
different. No. I was very excited to be here, but I was like, I don't know what kind of a content I'll be giving to
Yeah.
her, because I care about that. When someone is calling me, of course they're expecting something from me, right? So I should be able to deliver. So if I have,
But you
then
100% did.
I'm glad.
Over-delivered. So
I'm glad.
I really
Although there
appreciate-
were a lot of times I felt like doing this in multi languages, but I mean, like,
Please do. Like, you can.
it's fine. It's
I
fine.
want you to,
I
like,
can't
just
help it.
Express it. It's just my.
I just want my audience to, the expats and the ones who don't understand Urdu, I want them to understand this. So
But
which is why.
a lot of them understand it. We've done episodes in Urdu as well, so
Acha.
don't worry. Like,
All
you
right.
can. It's just me that I speak. Like, I'm more comfortable in English, but
Uh-huh.
of course if I have to speak in Urdu, I speak in
Perfect.
it. But if you have to, like, just
Okay, I'll see.
feel comfortable as
I'll
is.
see.
But I think one thing that I really wanted to know about was, what is, I guess, a misconception that people have about Sufi music? What do they?
Yeah, the misconception is, I'll tell you, the only misconception is that people say that Sufi music preaches shirk,
Mm.
which is not the case. Nobody is. I'll tell you something why I'm saying this, because this one time, there are certain steps, there are certain ways to love people. And again, we have talked about this before, that we are no one to judge anyone for their levels of love they have. You see, if I love this chai, but you might worship this chai. And I'll be like, what the hell is
Why
wrong
is
with
she
you?
doing?
You're being so weird. I mean, you can be. I love it, but your love is a little
A
extreme.
little too intense.
So I should be accepting, okay, she loves it. But that does not mean that you're crossing a line. So I'll tell you something. You know, people don't go to the tombs, right? The mazars. So because you know some people tend to cross that line, which is
What do you
okay.
mean by
The
crossing?
line of, you know, when they forget that you know, the one you're visiting at a tomb is not God.
Oh yeah.
God forbid.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but you're worshipping clearly.
Hmm.
So this one time, and again, this is my experience. I'm not imposing or anything, but so I went to a mazar, and I used to be, you know, I used to be in a foul mood in a mazar because of people. You know, there are a lot of different kind of people that
go
you'll
there.
see, yeah, that go there, and you'll see them, and everyone is in a certain way, and there might be some mannerisms that you will not agree with.
Like, are they disrespectful or?
That's what I'm saying. This is what I felt.
Yeah.
That they're being disrespectful. I'm all judgy and all there. Okay.
Hmm.
And then I was in a foul mood, and then I sat in a corner. I took a corner, and I sat there. So, you know, a friend of mine, the manager, my friend, he always told me to do meditation, and we call it muraqba also.
Okay.
So I was like, I used to tell him that I think I am doing muraqba, but I think I'm making a fool out of myself, because because they say when you do meditation and when you're doing muraqba, so you are talking to the entity, the you know, alam-e barzakh, the alam-e barzakh. How do we call it? In English, alam-e barzakh is a place where all the souls are.
Okay.
I think so. Yeah,
A place of
a medium
souls.
a medium
Okay,
a medium,
okay.
right? So so in meditation, in muraqba, people believe that you can connect
Mm.
with the souls in alam barzakh, whoever you want to, by and I think it could be true, because meditation has that power, right? God has given us a lot of potential that we haven't unlocked.
Mm.
So in simple words, I was doing muraqba, and I have forgotten in what tomb I was, but I sat there and I tried to imagine myself doing meditation and talking to that personality. So I used to tell this to my friend that I think I'm pretending. I'm making up. I'm making up things. You know, human mind is like that. That it can also make up things, right?
Create false memories.
I'm making fool out of myself. But he was like, maybe not. So this one day, what happens that in that mazar, I'm sitting and I'm doing meditation, and I asked a question. I was in the zone, and I asked a question, and the answer that I got was so different that it felt that I had a real experience of muraqba.
Like,
so I was like, I sat and I was in a foul mood, and I was like, I don't get this, man. Like, why these people are acting in a certain way? I don't like it. Why they're like this, and why they're doing this and that. And you know what that entity told me? Do you come here for me or for them? And that was the point. I was like, oh my God. I mean, who am I to raise any problems? Whatever they're doing is not my problem.
it's irrelevant.
And this is what I got the answer. Do you come for me? And that was the point. I was like, who am I to call out someone that they are doing shirk or whatever? Maybe they're not. Maybe it looks like that way, because the intensity of love is like that. So that was the point. And the Sufi, we went really all over the place, but
No, but that's great. Yeah.
but you know, this is the misconception where people say that Sufism preaches shirk, but that's not the case. Sufism only preaches love, and the love for the creator, and the love for his creation. And the intensity of love, you are not supposed to measure it. We are not made to measure it. The only entity that gets to judge all these things is only the
Is your
creator,
creator, ultimately.
not us.
There's no one else.
Because we won't be there in a judgment day, right, standing right beside God and be like, yeah, he did that, he did that, she did that, I saw her. No. He gets to make the decision, right? Whatever the bad or the good is, he gets to make it. So yeah, that's the misconception, and this is how I learned that I'm not supposed to judge.
So just for me to understand fully, I completely understood what you were saying. I wanted to understand why people think it is shirk, and the example that you gave of the mazar, is that like do people who usually follow Sufism usually go to mazars
Yeah,
only?
they try in Sufism. People do try to find a medium to connect with
Makes sense.
their creator, right? And I think finding a medium is not a problem. And the intensity of whatever they are feeling for that medium is none of our business. None of our business. Because again, I'm also not someone who would go crazy over a medium and I'll think, oh my God, this is my God. No. I know who Allah is. I know that I worship Allah only. And these are the certain mediums that I respect, and these are the mediums that are making me understand more about Allah, more about my creator. So I know my limits. Everybody knows their limit. It's just that
The way
you
they
don't
practice it
yeah,
is
you
different.
don't, because your perception is different. You're seeing it in a different way.
Like for them in their minds, probably they are within their limits.
They're clear in their mind. It's just that you are coming up with a judgment.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I think yeah, I don't know what I thought of Sufi music growing up, because for me my dad would listen. Actually, I wanted to ask this now that I talk about my dad. What is the difference between Qawwali and Sufi music?
Well, that's a very good question, a very academic one.
Yeah, I think it's a little more. Yeah.
I think, again, it's my answer, okay?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
don't call me out, people. But I think Qawwali is, I think Qawwali is the manzar kashi. How do you say manzar kashi in English? Like, storytelling.
Oh, okay. Storytelling.
It's the storytelling
aspect.
of
So
the
it's-
certain events.
Okay.
And this is how it turned into a Qawwali.
Okay. So as in, like, is Qawwali like a branch of Sufi music, or it's a separate thing?
I
Because-
think it is a part of Sufi music.
yeah, because when I
Qawwali
was
is
researching
definitely-
it was like
Yeah,
Qawwali
yeah.
is a part of, which I didn't know.
Qawwali is definitely a part of music. It's just that these days people have made anything in Qawwali, but Qawwali is meant to be divine and meant to be of a Sufi thought and
that love for the creators.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Qawwali is a medium of conveying Sufi
Sufism.
poetry. Yeah.
Okay.
It's one of many art forms. Sufism uses not the entirety of, so it's one of the art forms.
Makes so much sense.
So it is a part of Sufi.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a form of Sufi music, basically.
Exactly. Yeah. Where it might not feel too heavy for them to, take in. And this is what happened with Shikwa also, because when they gave me Shikwa, initially I was not happy. Because I was like, the words are very difficult. The youngsters won't listen to me. I mean, they will not prefer this music. I don't know why they gave this to me, but then things turned around, and the way it was presented, all the huge shout out goes to Ali Hamza and Zoeb Qazi, and especially Ali Hamza, who had he had the vision of Shikwa. The generation, if they like this Shikwa, that is because it was his vision, the way he brought it. So it was not I mean, there are original forms of Shikwa, Jawab Shikwa also, and they're amazing. They're beautiful. And I'm nowhere near to them. But this one, yeah, the recent generation resonates with it. And I think we needed to do it.
Yeah, definitely.
For them to resonate. So this is the and after the hit, after when Shikwa got hit and it got relevant in the new generation, we were like, you know what, let's just do an album and try to keep the compositions very lighthearted so that people can connect. And even if they are not understanding the shairi, the poetry, they might listen to it and dive into it by themselves, right?
Yeah.
So that was the point of
Wow.
doing that album.
Was there from reading his poetry and his work, was there something that stuck with you? Is there something like that?
You know, the surprising thing about his writing is that they are still very relevant. It's weird. When you read it, you go like, did he foresee these things? Or were these things happening at that time too?
Really?
And how come it is so applicable right now? But the writing looks very fresh. They don't look old. When you'll read it, you'll be like, oh my God, is he talking about these days? Present day? So that's the beauty of his writing. People should definitely go through it. They should read it. And if you are very lazy, you don't want to read it, just go through my album. Yeah. It's called
Slight
Khiraj.
plug.
Exactly.
Love it.
Yeah,
Love it.
go listen to the songs and you'll know about him.
Do you have like examples of maybe some parts? I know that's hard.
No, it's not hard. I'll tell you. Like, there's this his poetry that I did it in a song, which goes like, ज़माना आया है बेहिजाबी का, आमदीदार यार होगा. So which is like, I mean, you can, again, it's a very complex shairi, which is saying that, you know, the world, the world is becoming so, I don't know how
Like
to
not
explain
modest,
this.
like it's not.
Modest, but he does not mean modest. It's
Okay.
like zamana aaya hai behiz aame didar yaar ka hoga. It is applicable to this world where we talked about certain things, that where the society is going, they just want to call out others, but they don't want to call out themselves, and you know, it is applicable to that. It's very complex, and it does apply to the present world where many things that we don't agree on is becoming accepting.
It's becoming normal.
It's becoming normal. Some, you know, the, yeah, it is about that.
Very interesting. So then what does he mean by behijabi then?
Zamana aaya hai behijabi ka. So zamana aaya hai behijabi ka means that you know, the world has become immodest, that aamdidar yaar hoga, that so immodest. If we take it as a person, that the person has stopped wearing the veils, that now you can see the real faces.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm able to explain it in a right way.
That's interesting.
So yeah,
like
the veils have gone and come off, yeah, and now you can see
who they really, and what's interesting about this is that when you bring an analogy of a person,
Yeah.
it makes you realize this is not about like hijab.
it's not about
it's
hijab.
not about
Exactly,
necessarily
he's not talking
modesty.
about hijab.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
about
deeper
society.
thing. Exactly. And you know what? The beauty of his shairi is that you can give it any kind of an explanation, and
Yeah.
it will fit.
And it will make sense.
It will make sense.
Yeah, you
So,
can apply it. That's the beauty
Yeah.
of poetry, I guess. Like there's so much wisdom to it
Yeah.
because you can fit it into different scenarios.
Yeah,
and
that's the
different-
beauty of the poetry,
beautiful-
yeah.
I love that. Well, thank you for sharing that. 'Cause
I'm trying my best.
No,
trust
you're
me.
doing. I really wanted to ask you about specific like poets and quotes and stuff, but I was not sure if you would be able. I mean, not be able to, but as in if you would want to do it on the spot. But
No,
you did
trust
it
me.
amazingly.
No, I think
so
it's because
appreciate it.
no, trust me. You know, so I believe in action and reaction. I think because your vibe is very nice, that I was able to talk about a lot of things. You know, there comes a time when I become very blank, because the only drawback, no, I have a lot of drawbacks though, but the only drawback that I feel, that I've stopped reading, and I really need to bring it back into my life, because there are things that I read way many years ago, and I faintly remember that. So it is my goal to start reading again, because this is how I'll be able to tell interesting stuff to other people, right? And I don't feel good about myself when I sound like a stupid person. I don't
But
want
you
to
don't.
be.
Not at all. Don't worry. Coke Studio Pakistan in general, like I've never seen a Coke Studio like Coke Studio Pakistan.
Yeah.
You know, there's Coke Studio in multiple different parts of the world,
parts, yeah.
right? Of course, people compare it to India, but there's also in Brazil. There's in like many different.
Yeah.
People don't know that it's also in other parts of the
Yeah.
world. But I've just never seen it like Coke Studio Pakistan. What do you think is so unique about Coke Studio Pakistan itself?
I think it's because you know, because of the roots. Yeah, the Pakistani roots. So Coke Studio started from Rohel Hayat, right? And the blend of Pakistani roots with modern music, and because through Coke Studio we are showing our culture. We're showing. I think Coke Studio is the true representative of Pakistani culture and Pakistani roots and different kinds of diversity that we have in our country. It's a full-fledged representation of that.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of it. And I think you know, in any industry, you'll see, if someone is owning their own roots, they'll always shine out.
Because it's your authentic identity.
I mean, you're not trying to be someone else, and it's very boring to be someone else. Being being true to yourself is the most unique thing that you can do, and I think that is the beauty of our Pakistan's Coke Studio, because it's very rooted to our culture. And I was, or else I would have felt so bad that what is wrong with my country?
Why did we do that?
Why are they banning? They don't care.
I don't get the ban. Like,
Yeah,
the ban
even I
never
don't get
makes
the ban.
sense
I'll
to
tell you
me.
something. Recently, when I was in this event of Dubai, the Global Encounter,
Mhm.
I met a lot of great people, great friends from India, right? And so we were, so I wanted to search this certain person on Instagram to follow him. I was like, what's your username? And the guy went like, this is my name, but you won't be able to find me because we'll be banned. And you know what? I searched, I was like, see, you're not banned.
You're not banned. Yeah.
Your music is not banned. You are not banned. Yeah, I pretty much sure know that I am banned in India. All right, but it's fine. I mean, it's their problem. But the thing is that
They're lost.
yeah, my country is not banning anything. And I'm so proud of Pakistan for doing that. That thank God you're not insecure. Because yes, I do love my country. I don't have to show you.
But yeah, that's a huge step. If
That's a huge
if
step.
the other
Yeah.
country is banning your music, is banning your artists, banning your creators, then obviously the other person, if you are insecure by yourself, if you want to
Yeah.
retaliate, you would also start banning.
Exactly.
But you didn't. Like
Exactly.
Pakistan didn't, and that is a very great point that you made. That you don't. I love how you said we're not insecure. Like
Yeah, I
I
felt
love
it.
that.
That's trust me, I'm not trying to put anyone down here. But if my country would have done that, I would have judged my country.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
As
how
you should've.
insecure you
As
are.
I
But
should-
I love you even more because you let me go.
you.
You're letting me listen to all the music. I put up a lot of pictures. I met a lot of Indian artists and I put it up on my Instagram. There was no hate from my own country. They would have called me a traitor or something like that.
Wow.
But no, nobody did that. And why would I mean? You know, the banning and the stopping will always make you very
Will force the hate even more.
Yeah, force the hate even more. Let it go, man. But it's okay. I mean, I'm no one to say anything from that side. I'm only talking about this side, and I'm proud of the fact that I was able to follow anyone from India, and there was no ban. I'm able to listen to any new music which is coming.
I love that.
So yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I never realized that Pakistan didn't
I recently
ban.
realized
That's
it.
a
I
great
also
point.
never realized it. Just recently in the Global Encounters, when the person said, I might be banned. You might not find me. And I just,
And you
I was like, see, you're not banned.
yeah, such
Yeah.
a great point.
I was like,
Yeah.
wow, we are very open-minded people.
Pakistan
Zindabad.
But yeah, I think there's so much that we have to be proud of Pakistan for. I think it is true that the media portrays our country in a certain way. For the longest time, and I'm ashamed of it, but because I was born and raised here for
Yeah.
the longest time, I also thought of Pakistan in a certain way because of what I saw
Yeah, it's completely
online.
fine.
And
Whatever the Imam used to say, the whole community follows by hook or crook. So if Imam has said that girls need to be educated, I mean, there was this one farman which the context was, okay, if you have money for one of your child and you have a boy or a girl, you should choose the girl to educate. Yeah, that was. And this is how people took it very seriously. The whole community took it very seriously. And even in my family, the education was way more important for girls also. I mean, there were there was a competition happening that, Falana ki bachi, she's a doctor. Why aren't you a doctor yet? Stuff like that. So the huge competition in education and a healthy one.
wow.
All the girls, I mean, guys are educated, but even the girls are way more educated, mashallah. And the type of pressure even I had as a kid regarding my education was insane.
Wow.
Yeah,
Love
so that was because of the leader that we have, and he said it and people took it.
So it
their
continues
heart.
to be like
It
that.
continues to be like that
Yeah.
because education is still very important. And now the present leader is not only emphasizing on education, he's also emphasizing on the extracurricular stuff like art, music, stuff like that.
Amazing.
So yeah.
And then okay, what about languages? Like of course education
Yeah.
is emphasized because from what I've watched and videos I've
Yeah.
watched, people talk about how a lot of people in Hunza, they know different languages as well.
Yeah.
Could you tell me about that, like how true that is?
Yeah, so I think there are, if I'm not wrong, there are maybe 6 languages that are like prominently known. There might be more, but in my knowledge, I think there are 6 languages. But the ones that
Wow.
I know that the existence of languages that are Burushaski. That this is my mother tongue.
Yeah.
Burushaski is my mother tongue, and then there's Shina, and then there's Wakhi. And there was another language. I forgot the name of it, but it's a very small community that speaks. I've forgotten the name of it. But these are the three languages that I know that people speak Burushaski
So
there.
do you
People
speak
speak.
the
I
you
speak
speak
Burushaski. Yeah,
Burmese?
yeah.
Okay.
But people who live there, especially in Gilgit side, they mostly know both the languages, Shina
Wow.
and Burushaski, and some of them also know all the languages. And then the fun fact about these languages is that no language is similar to each other.
Wow, it's like very distinct. Like you
Very
can't
distinctive.
understand each
Yeah,
other.
and about Burushaski, I was recently trying to study something about the language, and then I found out that Burushaski is one of those mysterious languages which has no roots. People don't know from where
Oh, the
the
history is.
there's no history behind it, like from where it originated. And it's already on the verge of extinction because barely 60,000 to lakh people are speaking, but nobody knows the trace of the language.
Oh.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's a very good topic actually to
It's
learn
quite
more
interesting.
about.
Yeah, even I'm
Burmese.
intrigued, and if I get some free time, I would love to like dig into it and
Yeah,
see.
because and also that makes you more connected to your language.
Yeah,
Probably like
I
you
mean, it
feel
makes
more.
you feel more special. That, oh my God, this language has no trace, and you know this
Yeah,
language.
like I'm
Oh
a
my-
special
am
one.
am I better than everyone?
But yeah, I mean, it is a special thing then, and you feel more of a need to preserve it in a way,
Yeah,
right? Like
exactly.
you because for example, for me, my family speaks. We're Punjabis. My family speaks
Oh,
Punjabi.
lovely.
My parents, my grandparents speak a lot of Punjabi, so I understand it completely. My speaking, not so much.
Really?
Like I can.
But you still
Andi
understand
hai.
it. That is, हाँ, बोलना थोड़ा बोलना.
Andi hai Punjabi, but like that's yeah. I don't like. I have to think. I can speak, but I just have to think a little
It's
bit.
fine. Yeah, it's complete. I mean, with Burushaski also, I'm not that fluent.
Yeah, but you are.
Yeah,
pretty,
I'm
like,
able
you
to.
can easily-
I try my best to speak in Burushaski language, and especially in my house, so that I don't forget
Wow,
forget the
that's
language.
a great thing. I need to start doing that more often. I told my dad the other day, he was saying that, oh, like this is I would be the last generation knowing Punjabi. Then I was like, what do you mean? Then they're like, you don't speak Punjabi, you're not gonna speak to your children. I was like,
so cute.
that's true. And then I was like, why didn't you like make me force me to speak in Punjabi? Then he's like, bro, that's your fault.
That's your fault. No, I think it comes from the practice in the house also.
Yeah.
I mean, although I haven't spent much of my time in Hunza that much. I mean, I'm born in Karachi, but then I've spent my initial childhood in
Years.
Gilgit. Yeah, initial
Okay, got
years
it.
in Gilgit. But then I went back to Karachi, so I'm a pure Karachiite.
Got it.
But with the hint of Hunza, because whatever I go through on the daily basis in my city, when I go home, my home is a little Hunza for me because we live like that. Our living style is like Hunza. Our eating style is also like we
Wow.
eat Hunzai food. We speak in Burushaski language. So I think the practice starts
Still
from
continues. Yeah.
it continues from the house. So we haven't forgotten our roots.
Love
we are
that.
still the same. Pakistan's main unique, I would say, the selling point is the rawness that Pakistan has, because the music is not appreciated in a way, in the sense that parents will not. Our parents won't let us go from the childhood to learn music or stuff like that. So because the things that whatever we are doing is so self-taught and so raw that it resonates. People like it. People love it because it's something new.
Yeah.
It's not sounding mechanical. It's not something that you've heard before.
Exactly.
So which is why I believe that Pakistani music shines out that way, and Coke Studio also like helped in celebrating all those things.
Yeah.
So
And I feel like it's such a great fusion. Like that's
and the
what
fusion,
makes it so unique.
the fusion makes
'Cause
it.
the way they blend everything together, as you were saying.
Yeah, I think the fusion makes it relevant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
So,
Because a lot of, for example, some of the songs, Tu Jhoom, that one I really love of Coke Studio. Of course, it's a very old, it's like an old classic song, but the beauty of Coke Studio is that it makes it relevant to younger audience.
yeah.
It takes.
But I think Tu Jhoom was an original song.
Oh, I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
it's because I
didn't know that.
I know this because this song was written by Adnan Dhul,
Okay.
the singer,
Yeah.
Pardesh Katenda,
Okay.
wala singer.
Okay.
So he's a great friend, and I'm a huge fan of his work. So because he wrote the song, and And even Zulfi also
I
said
didn't
that
know
it's
that. This whole time I thought it was.
yeah, it's an original song, and but it's so beautiful that it sounds like a classic
It
song, right?
does, right?
So
Yeah.
that's the beauty of.
That's what I love. And so, your journey in Coke Studio, would love to talk a little bit about that. So, for instance, you mentioned that when you got the song, first of
Yeah.
all, I didn't know that like they kind of give you the song.
Yeah, they
So
give
you
you
don't
the-
like choose the song. Like, how does it work?
maybe and if you are an established artist, you might have a say.
Mm.
That I don't know, because I went into Coke Studio as a pure new talent who was not, who was faintly established but not that established. And I mean, for me, Coke Studio was the platform that, oh my god, I have to do something about it or else. And then Coke Studio is all about making it or breaking it.
Yeah.
And if you appear on Coke Studio and if you don't get the limelight, then that's the most saddest part, I think. So when
But you did it. Like, you crushed it.
I'm Alhamdulillah. I was so scared because music for me has been so serious, and I mean, um, like I had to fight many battles for music, and then the time when Coke Studio came into my life, I was like, finally, I got that platform for where I can show the whole world who I am, and so they called me and they were like, so we are giving you this song, Shikwa Jawab Shikwa by Allama Iqbal. I'm like,
This song. How?
I mean, is it going to be famous? I don't know. It's very hard. So I was like that. And I was like, oh my God, this is my first song. And I can't be like, oh, I don't want this song. So I was like, okay. So and then they were like that you have to do it with the Kawals and Abu Muhammad and Fareed Ayaz, and they're like big giants, legends, right? And I'm like, what am I doing? What if I look like a stupid person in front of them? Because they're like amazing. So then I had the song and I had no choice. And then, the song started to grow on me. And initially, also, when Ali Hamza showed me the groove of the song with the guitar, I loved it. And I never showed him that I was worried, or maybe I was concerned about the song. I was like,
Yay.
I was pretending I was very happy. But within myself, I was very doubtful. But then I was like, Natasha, you have no choice. Now you have to make this work.
Yeah.
So I started working really hard on the song. And I remember, because obviously I did not understand a single word in the poetry, and I had to and the problem with Urdu words, or maybe because it's a mix of Farsi also, you will not get it. And we never had ChatGPT back then. Okay, so it just came around. Yeah. So I had to break the words.
Wow, yeah, that's I didn't
Break
even
the
think about
words
that.
and
That must be hard.
look it up, just to understand the poetry so that I can deliver it.
Yeah.
And the best part about this song was the requirement of the song was rage.
Oh, really? So,
And
so these
rage-
are also determined, like the emotion of
Yeah,
the
they
song.
were.
Okay,
They were
okay.
like, गुस्से में रहो. And I'm like, ये तो मेरे बाएं हाथ का खेल है. Why are you so worried? You'll see, I'll be like, because, yeah, I'm known for this, that I'm a short-tempered,
Oh, really?
young, angry woman. Yeah. So yeah, I was like, ये तो हो ही जाएगा. But I practiced a lot. I practiced every single day. I tried getting the words right. And the best part about working with Ali Hamza was he let me do my stuff also. Like, he gave me that room to bring explore and my creativity into it. So all credit goes to him and the space that he gave me. And I can never be I can't thank him enough for this opportunity and for trusting me with Shikwa Jawab Shikwa when I never trusted my own self, And when it came out, and when I did the song, I remember I went to the studio around 8 p.m. and leaving the studio around 7 p.m. in the morning.
7 a.m.
Sorry, yeah, 7 a.m.
Oh my
I said PM.
God.
7
Almost
a.m.
12
in the morning.
hours.
Yes. And I was so worried, and I was so anxious that I think I only drank water all the time. I had no food, nothing. I mean, they kept asking me, what do you want? What do you want? I would have acted like a celebrity. I want this and that. I was like, nothing, just water. And I was just having water, and I was like, I have to get it right. I have to do it. And yeah, we did that song. And I remember leaving the studio with the guitarist, with the legendary guitarist Momo, Umran Shafiq, who played in the song also. I mean, he gave that signature riff, da 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 da. So
That gave it the
he gave the jaan to it,
to
so
it.
soul to it. So I remember we were going back to our houses and we were in the same car, and he was like, Natasha, this is the biggest song. And I was Indian. I was like, if this is the biggest song, why would I get it?
Oh, girl, no.
Because obviously nobody knew me. I just, out of nowhere, I was in Coke Studio and I had the biggest song. Seriously, I can't believe this.
No.
How can life be so perfect? That was the point. But Alhamdulillah, everything worked out so well. When I saw the final cut, and the best part for me, everything was in my favor, because when Coke Studio, the whole nation waits for Coke Studio, right? And the first song was Shikwa Jawabe Shikwa of that season. That also
Wow,
worked in my favor.
legendary, yeah.
Everybody saw it, and even when I saw it, I was like, did I do that? ये मैंने किया है? अल्लाह मियाँ मुझे लगा आपने ही किया, मुझे तो नहीं लग रहा है मैंने किया वो वाला. तो that was the point. But yeah, I still love that feeling when I think about it. Man, that was the beautiful thing that ever happened in my life. And I was so glad that I made it. I did not break it.
You did. Yeah, you did, mashallah. I mean, that's incredible. And I love. Was there like a challenge that you had to overcome as a woman in the Pakistani music industry, and how can, I guess, others overcome that?
I think the biggest challenge was my gender.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So that was you said that you fought many battles.
Yeah,
was it because
that
of your
was because
gender?
of my gender. Because of course I was the girl from Hunza, and no girl ever stepped into the field of music. I was the first one, and I decided to take all the bashes so that the later, then when other girls want to come into this field, they would have they can have me as an example that she's there, so I can also
can do
go,
it.
right? I can do it too. So that was the hardest part, and at that point, I'd like to say to all those girls that just you have to be a little fearless and be faithful about your dreams and trust yourself. And also one more thing, that there was a time when I used to think, if I want this so badly, it will come to me. Yes, it will, but you have to do something about it. You can't just sit around and wait for the
Wait.
things to happen. You have to make it happen, and don't rely on others. Just rely on God.
Hmm.
And then He will make it happen for you. But then you have to move your butt. Yeah.
You can't just
You
sit and
can't
rely
just sit
on God
and then
and
just
pray.
be and then just be like, nothing's happening, nothing's worth it, nothing's happening. This is my dream and it's not happening. No, you have to have it. It should come from your heart, and you have to show that how much you want it, and just believe in your dreams, man. No boundaries can stop you from anything.
What kind of challenges did you face though, as a woman?
My
Why was
biggest-
that a challenge?
My biggest challenge was my own father, because he was very rigid in his thoughts, and he was like, I'm gonna shoot you if you pursue this.
Oh.
I was like, fine, I'm ready to die. So, because I always wanted my life to be worthwhile, worthy of something. I never wanted my life to be this boring, that, because since my childhood, I had this feeling that, I'm going to do something by which people will remember me. That's a very narcissist thought.
No, but I think that's
But-
what keeps you going. Like, I feel like
Yeah.
if you didn't have that passion in you, if you didn't have that thought in you, what would
Yeah.
have pushed you to start?
Exactly. So at that point, I didn't know that I was becoming a musician or a singer. But I just had this thought when I was way younger. But then, yeah, when the passion came, and then my father, he kind of threatened me. I was like, fine, because since the childhood, I was a little off about the fact that why am I a girl? Because I see a lot of boundaries being a girl, and I grew up with two brothers, so the things were very obvious. I could
you
see
can
very
clearly see
obvious
the
differences.
difference.
And I always, because of that, I was like, why am I not a boy? I was like that. And then with time, obviously, I embraced becoming a woman, and like being a woman, not becoming being a woman. And you can't say such things, because these days people are becoming a woman. Exactly. So I am
That's
a
an
woman
actual
by
term.
birth. Yeah.
And you've stayed a woman.
I've stayed a woman. Yeah, I've stayed a woman. So, yeah, so that was the point where it really ticked me off that, oh, you're a girl, you're not supposed to do that or do these. I was like, no, there's only one life, and I'm not asking for anything unrealistic or bad. I know what I'm doing, and I know I can carry myself gracefully in it. I just needed the support and the push that I never got. And it actually ended up in a very ugly situation, because then uh, we split it from our father, and then you know
So did you do it alone? You had to do it.
yeah, I mean, the things were, my because when I pursued it, so my father stopped financing us, and he used to be in Dubai. I never came to Dubai when my father was here. Yeah, so he used to work in Dubai, and he stopped sending money. And I think I was 2021 when this happened, and then I had to freeze my semester. I was studying there in Karachi, and then look for a job to support the family because I wanted to do music. So yeah, and since then, till now, I am the one who's the breadwinner of the house. I'm running the house. So, and I'm happy about that. I'm so glad that it happened, that I'm able to run the show myself. And but yeah, the tragic part is that we never got to reconcile it, because in COVID he passed away. Yeah, so we never had that thing. But it's okay. I mean, in other portal, I will meet him, and
And
we'll talk about it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I love, yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's
Well,
those were the struggles. Yeah.
yeah, thank you for sharing that. And I guess hearing this, it makes me think about how I don't want to have a negative image, but it just reminds me if whether Pakistani music industry is yet open for women.
I think now it is.
Okay.
Now things have become very smooth because of the exposure of social media, because now parents are also seeing a lot of things on social media, and now they have become very accepting of a lot of things.
Hmm.
At that time, I don't blame my parents. Yes, they came under the pressure of society, and society was all about becoming a doctor, engineer, or nurse, or whatever it was. Yeah,
Mhm.
and these things were like, oh my god, they're ruining their lives. But today, it's less about, which is also a sad thing, though it's a very extreme thing, but less about education and more about that. But I think things should go hand in hand, education and the other
You can't let
artistic
go of.
stuff yeah. But yeah, now I think parents are very understanding.
You think it's like progressed a
It's,
lot.
it is progressing, because the things that they are seeing around them is making them accept those things, right? Huh?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's good to know that there's progress.
Yeah,
And
I see progress. I don't know about others, but I do.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, thank you so much,
Thank
Natasha.
you.
This was amazing. And thank you for
Likewise.
sharing all your experiences, the stories, personal stories that you've shared. I feel honored to have had this conversation with you, honestly.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
appreciate it. Thank you very, very much.
You're the best.
Thank you. Thank you.